We only have 2 additional examples in this section. However, they kind of take a long time, as you saw with example number 4. So what I would like for you to do so that you can have some practice on these is practice. First of all, we'll take them step by step. We're going to find the positive real zeros, or the number of positive real zeros and the number of negative real zeros. We're going to set up the little chart. Then we're going to do all the P's and Q's. Once we've got those done, we are going to start testing the P over Q inside the box. And once we get one that has a 0 remainder, we're going to use the resulting depressed polynomial for our coefficients. That means we've decreased the polynomial by 1 degree and we have one fewer term. So we are going to keep going until we're either able to factor or we're able to use the quadratic formula. At that point, we're going to gather together all of the zeros that we have been able to determine, and that's going to be what goes in our solution set, is all of the zeros. So if you are ready to practice this on your own, you can stop the video now and fast forward until you get to the answers. If you're really not ready yet to practice on your own, then let's practice it in bits. I am going to ask you to turn the video off to do bits and pieces of this on your own so that you can practice. But we'll solve it, for the most part, we'll solve it together so that you can get supported practice. So what I want you to do first is find the positive real zeros and the number of positive real zeros and the number of negative real zeros, and then set up the little chart with the number and types of zeros of the function. And then turn the video back on so you can check yourself. Okay, so we've determined we have one of 2 possibilities. We're either going to have no imaginary and then 1 positive and 3 negative, or we're going to have 2 imaginary with 1 positive and 1 negative real zero. So the next step is to determine the factors of the constant, the factors of the leading coefficient, and then that will give us the ratio of P over Q, will give us all of the possible rational zeros. So stop the video now, list your P's, Q's, and P over Q's, turn it back on so you can check your result. Okay, so we've listed the factors of our constant term, the factors of our leading coefficient, and then the ratio between the two. You may wonder why we didn't write the 2 over 2. Well, 2 over 2 is 1, and 4 over 2 is 2, 6 over 2 is 3, and 12 over 2 is 6. So we already had those listed. The next step is that we're going to pick numbers to go inside the box, and of course we're going to do this in kind of a methodical way. So the ones that we're going to start with are positive and negative 1. We're going to put those inside the box, and hopefully one of them will yield a remainder of 0. If we get a remainder of 0, we're going to use the depressed polynomial in the next round with positive and negative 2. So turn off the video now and turn it back on when you've finished with 1 and negative 1 inside the box. Okay, so on our negative 1 inside the box, we found that we got a remainder of 0. So we're very happy about that. And what we're going to do is we're going to create the depressed polynomial so that we can use it in the next round of synthetic division. We ended up with 2x cubed plus 5x squared minus 7x minus 12. And that's what we're going to use for the set of coefficients in the next round. Now we did positive 1 and negative 1. Just like we said before, we're going to go methodically, so that means we're now with positive 2 and negative 2. But the coefficients that we're going to use are going to be these from the depressed polynomial. So 2, 5, negative 7, and negative 12. Now you're going to proceed with the synthetic division as you normally would. Turn the video back on when you have finished 2 and negative 2. Unfortunately, we did not find another remainder of 0, so we're going to have to continue. The next factor, or the next P over Q's on our list, are positive 3 and negative 3, so those are the ones we're going to use in the box next. We'll have a positive 3 here, and use once again the coefficients from the depressed polynomial. And we're going to keep on using these until we find another factor or zero of the polynomial. So turn the video back on when you've tried 3 and -3 in the box. So with x equals -3, we have hit the jackpot once again and found another factor, another zero, I should say. And what we're going to do with this is, just like we said, we're going to use the depressed polynomial that we get, 2x squared minus x minus 4. Now we have some choices. We can use the quadratic formula. If we could factor it, we would factor it. This happens to not be factorable, so we're going to go straight to the quadratic formula using this depressed polynomial. So let's get that set up and plug in a equals 2, b equals -1, and c equals -4. In your quadratic formula, you should come back with 2 more roots. Turn the video back on when you have finished using the quadratic formula and have 2 more roots. Okay, so we have come up with our additional roots and, our additional zeros. So we're going to list them all in our solution set. We found, the first one that we found was -1, and the second one that we found was -3. I know we normally put them in order of least to greatest, but I'm at this moment putting them in order in which we found them. And then we have the 2 imaginary ones. I'm sorry, not imaginary, the 1 positive and 1 negative. So in the end, what we ended up having is 3 negatives, 1 positive, 0 imaginary roots. And we have a similar question on the next page. You can see they do take up a lot of room, so hopefully you're glad that you have a full page to work on number 6. I am going to have you practice independently for number 6. And you're going to follow the same exact steps. So when you're done with that, you can turn the video back on and check your answer. Okay, here is the solution to number 6, and hopefully you were able to come up with a solution. If you didn't, go back and take a look at the work. You can find it online in the notes that are attached to the page, that are attached in Skyward to this lesson. And if you have any questions, remember, bring your questions to class. That's it. We are officially done with Chapter 6. Congratulations.